If you spend any time online lately, I'm sure you've felt it. Your feed just feels different. It's full of this strange, repetitive, sometimes nonsensical content. I wanted to get to the bottom of it, so I decided to dig into the research on what's being called AI slop and brain rot. So let's just start with a number that kicked off this whole investigation for me. A study from the company Capwing, which was reported in The Guardian, found that over 20% of the videos recommended to a brand new YouTube account are what they call AI slop. That one statistic is pretty staggering, and it points to a huge shift in our online world. So today, we're going to break down what the data actually says, what's really driving this trend, and, what, if anything, we can do about it. Okay, first things first, let's get really clear on what we're talking about. These terms get thrown around a lot, there's a lot of hype, so we need to separate the reality from the noise and define them based on what the research shows. And this is a really crucial distinction to make. AI slop is about the how. It's a production method. We're talking about low-quality, mass-produced stuff made with generative AI tools, all designed for one thing, farming views. Brain rot, on the other hand, is more of a what. It's a broader cultural format. It's this whole category of low-quality, addictive content. It definitely includes AI slop, but it also covers all those other repetitive memes you see that aren't necessarily made by AI. For our purposes here, we're going to focus on the measurable part, the rise of AI slop. So how big is this really? Well, that same Capwing study looked at 15,000 of the world's most popular YouTube channels. They found that 278 of them were dedicated exclusively to AI slop. Now, that might not sound like a huge number out of 15,000, but remember, we're talking about some of the most popular channels on the entire platform. And this is why it's happening. It's the money. Those 278 channels are estimated to pull in a combined $117 million in revenue every single year. So this isn't just some weird internet trend, it's a massive, multi-million-dollar industry. To be rigorous about this, we have to ask, how did they get these numbers? The researchers basically did two things. First, to find those 278 channels, they surveyed the top 100 YouTube channels in every single country. Then, for that 20% figure, they did something clever. They made a brand new YouTube account, a blank slate, and just tracked the first 500 videos the algorithm recommended. It gives us a pretty clear picture of what someone with no viewing history is being shown right out of the gate. So it's really important to separate what we can measure from what we just don't know yet. Based on that one study, we know that at least 278 of the top channels are slop. We know that about 20% of videos are recommended to a new user, and we know those top channels are making an estimated $117 million. But what we don't know is the total number of these channels across all of YouTube, or the total views this stuff is getting platform-wide, and we certainly don't have hard data on its direct impact on what people think or do. It's key to stick to the data we actually have. All right, so let's get into the engine behind all this. Why is this content being made and getting amplified in the first place? Well, it all comes down to a really powerful feedback loop between people and the platform's algorithms. And step one of that loop is a very simple incentive: monetization. As reported in The Guardian, for creators in a lot of middle-income countries, the money you can potentially make from YouTube can be way more than the local median wage. That creates an incredibly strong financial pull to just produce content that gets views. So that incentive leads directly to step two, mass production. You have creators gathering in places like Discord and Telegram to share tips and find what they call niches, these weirdly specific, repeatable formats that they know will get engagement. One of the examples given is AI-generated videos of exploding pressure cookers. Yeah. The goal isn't art or creativity. It's just about making something scalable that generates views. And here's where it gets interesting. This fire hose of content isn't just about gaming the algorithm. It also taps into a strange quirk of our own psychology. A 2018 study found that even seeing something just once, like a fake news headline, makes people more likely to think it's true when they see it again later. This is called the illusory truth effect. It's a cognitive bias where our brains basically mistake familiarity for accuracy. The easier it is for your brain to process something, the more likely you are to believe it. And when you see something over and over and over again, it just feels more true. Mass-produced AI slop is almost perfectly designed to exploit this through sheer relentless repetition. A cognitive bias has literally become a monetization strategy. And that brings us to the final step that closes the loop: algorithmic amplification. Platforms like YouTube are basically just giant A/B testing machines. Their algorithms don't have opinions about quality. They just detect signals, views, likes, how long you watch, and they automatically promote whatever's working. And that creates this powerful feedback loop where Low quality but psychologically sticky content gets pushed to a massive audience.
So you see this feedback loop in action. What is the platform's official stance on all this? Let's take a look at what YouTube itself says about this kind of content.
In a statement they gave to The Guardian, a YouTube spokesperson basically said they see generative AI as just a tool. Their public focus isn't on how a video was made, but on whether the final result is high quality. That's the core of their official policy. So what does that actually mean day to day? Well, every video, AI made or not, has to follow their standard community guidelines. If a video breaks a rule, say it's spam or a scam, it gets taken down. But just using AI to make the video, that itself is not a violation. This means a lot of this low-quality AI slop lives in this kind of policy gray area. As long as it doesn't explicitly break another rule, it's generally allowed to stay up. So after all that, what can actually be done? The good news is, the research does point to some practical steps for pretty much everyone involved in this ecosystem. And it turns out, there's agency at every level. Let's start with us, as viewers. Your choices are incredibly powerful. One 2024 study found something fascinating. For a user who watched a lot of partisan content, the sidebar recommender could pretty much forget that history after they just watched about 30 more moderate videos. So your viewing habits are actively retraining your algorithm. For creators, the incentive's there if you look for it. Since YouTube's stated goal is to promote high-quality content, the best long-term strategy is probably focusing on value, not just pure volume. And finally, for the platforms, that same research suggests YouTube's algorithm is already doing some moderation for extreme users. The really tricky part is fine-tuning that without taking away a user's ability to choose what they want to watch. So after digging into all of this, here are the 3 big things to take away. First, the scale here is significant. This isn't a niche issue. It's a measurable, multi-million-dollar phenomenon. Second, you have to see it as a system problem. It's driven by this feedback loop between money, psychology, and algorithms. And third, and maybe this is the most important one, you have agency. Your viewing habits are a powerful tool you can use to retrain your recommendations and make your feed better. And all of this leaves us with a really tough, open question that these platforms wrestle with every single day. What is the right balance? How do you moderate low-quality content while still protecting a user's freedom to explore and watch what they want? There's no easy answer, and it's one of the biggest challenges of the internet today. So, what should we break down next? Let me know in the comments. Are you more interested in the science behind a digital detox, or should we dive into the complex economics of the creator economy? Thanks for watching.